Good morning. My name is Henry Strong, and I'm applying for the Eller Full-Time MBA program. I am in the Navy, a naval aviator who is currently stationed in Tucson, Arizona at the University of Arizona. A little bit about myself. I am a results-oriented and a person with a good pedigree in leadership and management. Nothing really demonstrates this as well as I think a story from a couple years ago in which I was the commander of a detachment of aircraft who were trying to get the aircraft fixed so that we could get ready for a deployment. I had two aircraft and I was continually trying to get them built up. And I had a lot of pressure on me to be able to deliver these aircraft and have them ready in time. During this time, my team and I, of about 50 people and multiple officers underneath me, we were working 12 hours at a minimum each day, 7 days a week. And a lot of people were starting to get exhausted. But there was a lot of pressure to deliver these aircraft and get them to the carrier. So one day I noticed some folks who were actually falling asleep while conducting maintenance. And I was able to, again, talk to those folks, pull the push back a little bit, and be able to actually give everybody a half a day, which was not a very popular decision with the rest of the people who were currently on board the carrier and away from their families. Hearing that other people had gotten a half a day off was a really big deal, but I was able to defend that decision and was able to prove that as a result of all that hard work and giving people a little bit of time to rest and coming back the next day and hitting it hard, within a week we had both aircraft ready to go. We were training, and it actually enables us to conduct one of the largest rescue missions in the western United States just a few days later. That if we hadn't had those aircraft and if the maintenance would have been done improperly, we would not have been able to conduct. So all in all, I think that shows really well a little bit about me, that I am geared toward and driven towards results. However, I also understand that results come from people who are proficient and rested and are able to do their job with the maximum amount of resources that I can afford them. The second question that you're asking is specifically asking about my initiative. So while I am currently at the University of Arizona, I'm also in charge of the physical fitness scores for all people entering the officer programs in Arizona. And over the last few years, we've seen a consistent downward trend that represents a significant problem in the overall fitness of the people who are commissioning as officers in the Navy. I recognize this. I brought it up to senior leadership, and the senior leadership said, well, as long as they're meeting the standards, but that wasn't good enough for me, and I want to see the people who are entering the Navy prepared to be able to succeed, and physical fitness is a huge aspect of that. And with that, I decided to start instituting a couple different programs, and I started making a lot of the workouts that the folks do more competitive, added in some more fun elements, and added in some leadership training, all to kind of distract from the severity of the workouts, because the workouts were already very hard, but it allowed people to start to engage their mind and their bodies and to really start to push. I also had to have a tough conversation with everybody, in which I put out simply, hey, these are the minimum standards and you're meeting them. However, you're not meeting my expectations. And my expectations are that you are consistently growing, getting better, and you are setting an example that is well above the minimum standard. The result of that was a 24% increase in the performance of physical fitness over the last two cycles, which are a half-year cycle. And so year over year, that 24% and then again 24% has been an outstanding increase, and it's all because of the identification of that problem, that I was tracking that data, and then the initiative to not settle for less and to equip those folks entering the fleet to be able to perform at the highest level possible. The last question you were wondering was talking about a time that I had seen conflict and I had worked through that conflict in the workplace. I am the sexual assault and equal opportunity prevention coordinator I represent the state of Arizona, and most specifically working with some of the units around here with the Navy in particular as a liaison to the main offices in San Diego. We had a issue in which a command had a very, very loved and well-known person at the command who was in the leadership of the command had a complaint against them. And a lot of people said, that's just ridiculous. It's probably somebody who is just trying to strike out at that person for a decision they made. Just ignore it. Don't worry about it. However, it's incredibly important to me to support people no matter what occurs. And even though everybody was kind of telling me, hey, you're attacking this person's career, you're enabling this quote unquote victim in being able to strike at their leader, I went through the process, and we continued to investigate and look into the allegations, and what we found was they were actually corroborated, and that there had been a long time standing in which that person was using the culture of their unit in order to create victims and to sexually assault and have other negative things that they perpetrated throughout their unit. And my pushing against that conflict, not being willing to settle for the status quo, a willingness to pursue the rules, not just simply follow them to the letter of the law, but actually pursue what was right in that situation, resulted in that person being removed from that, and likely multiple victims in the future prevented as a result of that decision to stand strong against that conflict. Again, I really enjoyed meeting you. I look forward to hopefully being a part of the the full-time MBA program. Again, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to meeting you in person.